Alright folks, back again. So we've made some good progress here. We are almost to the point where we've completely put ourselves in front, overhauled the target. So you can actually see here, we're currently on a course of 316. So I've set 316 on the attack disk here. And then I'm just monitoring, I'm continuing to assume that the target's course is 255, which is what we determined before. So I've got the target course set to 255 right here. So now all I'm doing is just monitoring the bearing. So we've got 117, a bearing of 117 there. So then I come here and I adjust this to 117, which is right there, which almost is like a 2-degree angle on bow. Which is actually not probably correct. Our angle on bow, even that second estimate, was also a little off, which is exactly why we're doing this overhaul exercise, or this Vorsatz maneuver, to put ourselves right in front of the target. So once we start approaching a zero, we're going to start turning on to the target's course and match the course. And at that time, at that moment, all of this comes together, right? The circle essentially completes itself. We did our Ausdampfen in the first video, where we got the constant bearing, and this of course is all assuming that the target maintains course and speed, which obviously in Wolfpack they do. Where you get your constant bearing in the first video, develop an estimate of the angle on bow, run ahead to a 0-degree angle on bow, which gives you perfect course information. Go back, update your initial angle on bow estimate, right? And then at that point, all that remains is to and we can start turning here. So bear with me. I'm going to start turning on to we're going to just get it so that we're going to start turning onto a parallel course here directly ahead of the targets. All right, so we're going to get, I'll put them at about our 150. That gives us about 30 degrees of closure to get on their course. So we don't want to blow right by the 0-degree angle on bow. So this allows us to still have a little bit of closure. Yeah, and see, we're almost there actually, so we can really start even turning on to the course right now. Actually, as a matter of fact, these targets look like they're on slightly different courses already. So let's go ahead and completely match the course now. We did blow by it just ever so slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and lay full rudder, get on the other side of 180 with these guys, and then move back toward a 0. And I'm actually opening the range as well to get us at essentially what a maximum range would be, to afford us more time in planning the attack. So let's go ahead and straighten the rudder out now. For some reason I got the flashlight on. Okay. This is going to allow us to get directly ahead of them here. So, whoops. Yeah, so they actually look like they're on slightly different courses, to be perfectly honest with you. So really, if you wanted to be historical, what you do at this point is say, okay, what side of the target do I want to attack from? I want to attack from the sun. That's for sure. And I also want to attack with the sea. Well, the sea isn't modeled here, but the sun is. Well, you can sort of see the direction of the waves there. But anyway, I want to attack from the sun so that it blinds my target, and with the sea. All right, so we can simulate that. We'll attack with the sun. Out of the sun, rather. So we want to attack from this side. So we want to run to that side of the target. So let's go ahead and we'll get a 0 on this guy right here. These targets look like they're on slightly different courses, I tell you what. It's bizarre. Okay. So right there is almost 0. Almost, not quite. And actually, that one right there is a little past zero. These guys are a little past zero. So actually, right about there is the true would be zero. If there were an imaginary ship right about there, it would be at zero. All right. So if I adjust my course, and I wish they'd fix that. Jesus. If I adjust my course to put that bearing at about zero, we've pretty much matched the course right about there. All right. So the course, you can see they're getting a little faded now. So the course is right about, so their course, give or take maybe a degree or two, is about 257. So actually our initial estimate was pretty correct, was pretty spot on. 257. So what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean much actually, because we've got we re-estimated them at 255. Well, now we know they're 257, right? So it's actually going to be it's going to be 257, which was 2 greater than 255, which means the angle on bow when we were overhauling them would have been 73 instead of 71. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, just a 2-degree difference. So it would have been 73 instead of 71. So we can redo this again. Now with perfect information, we can say 5.6 aligned with 73. 5.6 aligned with 73. There. Read off at 74, which is the bearing. So it's about 5.6. That's actually ended up being about what it was. Okay, so that's perfect. That's more or less perfect information right there. Now you can see the targets are getting faded. So what I'm going to do now is we know we're on their course line. All right. I'm going to reduce my speed to half speed ahead, and I'm going to turn 90 degrees to port. We know we want to attack from this side of the target. We want to attack from the sun. So we want to go this way. So we're going to turn to port by 90 degrees, and we're going to start the stopwatch. And I want to time it so that I put myself about, I don't know, 15 to 20, 1,500 to 2,000 meters off the target's course line. Okay, so I'm going to turn. So our course now is 257. 167 would be 90 degrees. So we're going to turn to 167. And then once I get on that course, I'll go ahead and start the stopwatch. But while I'm doing this, let's figure out how long we should go. So at a half speed ahead is going to give me about 12 knots. Okay, that I know. So to figure out time, speed, distance with this, you use the speed scale here. 1.2 is the equivalent of 12. So you would set the pointer to 12 and then read off at the distance you want to go. So the distance I want to go is about 1,500 to 2,000 meters off the target's track. Well, the easiest thing is just use a round minute figure. So 5 minutes is going to put us at about 1860. You see that? 1850, 1860 or so off the target's track. That's good enough. So once we get on course, we'll start the timer and time for 5 minutes. And then that way we know we're that far off the target's track. I believe I said 167. Okay, 167 right there. Start the timer. I'm going to time us for 5 or just maybe under 5 minutes. That way we know it's going to put us about that distance off the target's track. Yeah, 12.4. That's good. All right, so 12.4. Yeah, so 12. 12.4 is actually going to be here. So 5 minutes is going to give us, so yeah, maybe about 4 minutes and 40 seconds or so, or 4 minutes 45 seconds. You can see that that's going to put us a good distance off the target track, 1800 or so. So we'll go with that. All right, so that's the next phase here. We're, without doing any map plotting or anything like that, we can just simply just using time, speed, distance, and relative angles and such, figure out what we want to do to position ourselves relative to the target. Okay, so yeah, you can see here that here the targets are right here. There you can see that's the rightmost one right there. We're currently moving at 90 degrees to these guys, and getting ourselves positioned off of the target's course line. And then we will turn parallel. We'll turn down essentially and move parallel in an opposite direction to go to meet the target. That's an important thing, is you're always moving. You're not waiting for the target to come to you. You're moving down and going to meet the target. But this step here, once you get the 0, to get their exact course line, the next step is really to make sure that you're getting a decent distance off the target's track in order to position yourself. So again, the way you do that is this pointer here always should point to the target's speed. If you're dealing with a known amount, or your speed, if you're dealing with a known speed figure, set this to it. We said 12.4, which is right here. Never mind the decimal, that logarithmic slide rule, it's all equivalent. 12.4, and then I can just find the distance I want to move. So if I wanted to move 2,300 meters, it would take me 6 minutes. 1930 would take me 5 minutes, etc. That's how I know. That's how I do that calculation quickly. Okay, it's very easy. So we're moving off the track, just like that. Another couple minutes here, and then we will and then I'll stop I'll turn to us parallel. I'll dive the boat, and then I'll stop the video, and we'll do the next iteration of this. Now, the one thing to know too is that obviously historically these targets would change course and speed, even speed, and so that complicates things obviously a little bit, requiring you to spend more time doing the Ausdampfen, maybe on a couple different course legs, or trying to do it quick enough to get it on one course leg and just run with the speed that you get from that. It definitely complicates it a little bit, but it just requires more time and preparation. Leading up to the attack. So we're getting down to 4 minutes and 5 seconds, so we can compute the course we want. So let's do that now. We know the real target course is 257. That's what we computed. So let's set that there. That's 257. We want to find the reciprocal. So we just go to the 180 down here, and we read off the reciprocal. The reciprocal is 277. 077. So that's what we want to turn to before we dive. So we can probably start turning to that now. So let's go ahead and turn down. We'll turn to 077. And then once we've completed the turn, we'll go ahead and initiate a dive. I'll stop the timer. We'll go ahead and initiate the dive, and then we'll regroup after that. So turn down to 077. Again, that's just setting the attack disc to the actual target course, and then just using this to align the reciprocal there, and reading off down here as 077. Pretty straightforward. All right, so we're turning down. And if you even wanted to afford yourself even more time, you could even just run ahead until the target is completely out of view and then turn 90 and run off the target's track just to afford yourself even more time if you so desire. It's definitely not a bad idea. All right, so now that we're on the reciprocal course, let's try to get on it exactly. There we are, 177. Let's go ahead and initiate the dive. So when I dive, I usually set to great speed ahead to get us to drive us down. And then I always run with the negative flooded, as was historical on the surface. Hard down on the forward planes, maybe 5 to 10 down on the aft planes. Stand by the negative. Wait to blow. Once we hit about 8 to 10 meters, which is roughly now, we'll go ahead and blow the negative. This is going to blow you past periscope depth ever so slightly solo, but that's okay. So we will go ahead and stop blowing. Let's arrest the dive. Up 15 on the aft planes, up 10 on the forward planes to get a good angle up. This historically would get the bubbles out of the still open ballast tank so that the bubbles weren't sloshing around. Now we've arrested it. This is called Durchpendeln. They would pendulum the boat up and down a couple times in order to set slow ahead. And now we steer from into the depth from below. Let's center the aft planes, and then we will steer the depth from below, and we'll go to 13.5 to 14 meters. And then we should be okay for the attack. And of course we need to trim, so to those of you who want to watch that, I will do that before I stop the video. Center the planes, wait for the boat to level, watch your tendency to rise or sink. Once I know the boat is pretty much level, I will go ahead and pop over to the trim tank, and I need to manipulate this, so I need to blow. You can see because I'm sinking ever so slightly, so I blow. I blew a little too much. Little water in, little water in. Oh, that's pretty close right there. Little more. Just a little bit on the mouse wheel, all you need. Watch that needle, make sure it's not moving. Alright, that's pretty good right there. Now that I've got a trim, I steer the depth again with the dive planes. Come up ever so slightly, get reestablished 13.5 to 14 meters, and then we should be trimmed. Alright, so let's go ahead and level there. And that should be good enough for now. So let's go ahead and stop the video, and I will restart here in a minute.